would you fit the issue of caps into this? Because that was the other thing that we got the sense from the Arvind Mayaram committee report, that hopefully in this country, the many different levels we have of FDI limits, 26, 49, 51, 74, and then all the way to 100, would converge to hopefully just two caps, which is 49 and 74. That's a great move, except that I'd like to ask the question, are those the best two caps to have, 49 and 74, or are you better served with 26 and 51? The logic being that why would you spend all that money to go all the way up to 49 and be denied that 2% of being absolutely in control?
Well, the Companies Act definition of control, whether you have an ability to block an ordinary resolution which comes at 51%, or you have an ability to block a special resolution which comes at... I see no logic in tagging somebody at 26 and not allowing the person to go up to 49 where it doesn't get any higher control from a legal perspective. So question is that why do you want, let there be more FDI coming in the country by allowing a person who is currently capped at 26.
So you agree to 49 and 74? I
feel there should be only two caps, 49 and 74, and let's not go down to these sub-caps of different types because it doesn't serve any purpose.
Well, even as we say this, the 26% cap for defense has been retained. We've got multi-brand retail at 51. So I don't think the cleanup is going to happen anytime soon. But principally speaking, Mr. Khaitan, do you think 49 and 74 is a better place to be in as opposed to 26 and 51?
I think I agree with Mr. Vasani absolutely, because these are the two right limits, because you don't really get anything extra in terms of being 26 to 49. But look at the foreign investor. They are getting a better economic interest. So
but that's all you're getting, and you're still being denied the 2% that gives you, full control.
So, we are talking about sensitive sectors where we don't want to give control. We cannot give control to the foreigner. Now, if you're talking about those sectors, at least from an economic interest perspective, they need to have enough of an economic interest and incentive to invest in the country.
So even for defense, you're saying should be 49
right.
and not 26.
How many defense players and clients who have actually told us that, look, 26 is not attractive enough, but 49 might be attractive enough, because you have virtually half the economic interest.
But it's still virtually half. Virtually is an important word.
Sure.
So that's the question I want to ask.
They still prefer
49 to 26.
And another aspect I like to bring out, we are talking about this whole issue of control, and there is this concept about Indian owned and controlled companies allowed to do any investment. Now the threshold there is 49. You can't have an Indian owned and controlled threshold at 49 and have a sector threshold at 26, because the two just don't make sense. So you can invest in an Indian owned and controlled company at 49, which can then invest in a regulated sector where the cap is 26, but you can't invest directly more than 26. So it makes no logical sense apart from the economic side, even from a regulatory framework, to have one threshold at 49 at the top as a holding company, but bottom leave it at 26. So I think that again
I am in total disagreement about the but I'll tell you why.
That's interesting.
No, firstly, because of this, let's not take up the last point which I agree made on this 49% through this indirect, the Indian owned and controlled company. Despite the technical reality of what Hygrie said, which is absolutely correct, the fact is that route is not in fact being applied that way. How many multi-brand transactions, just to take that example, have come in through this 49% route? So can you really take the view in restricted sectors and get blessing on it, and without the fear of somebody coming and arresting you, of having an Indian owned and controlled company which is 51% and blatantly invest down in a restricted or a prohibited sector? So the ground reality of this is completely different. I am a 26-51% man. You either restrict them to 26 or 51, and I think there's a lot of logic to, because one represents negative control and the other represents a positive control, or 100. Now step back to why there are caps at all. There are two reasons. One is you don't want money flowing into that sector. For instance, real estate, you might have a fear about real estate bubble being created, so you create restrictions around that. Or in a particular sector like agricultural land, you don't want the money flowing into that sector at all. Or you want to control the level of influence, and level of influence should be measured just by two tests: the right to say no or the right to say yes, which is 26 and 51.
So that's what
for me, it's open and shut.
That's the basis for my argument for 26
But
and 51.
foreigners won't hire economic economic interest, and if you can give them 49 without higher control, they are happy to come.
But
because I'm telling you from actual deal experience that they prefer 49 rather than be at 26.
But they would love 51.
Cyril, I have a point of view.
It's a punt on whether this will go to 51 or not, right?
No, there's always a fudge at the last 2%. There's all sorts of stuff that happens.
Now, thank you for saying that, because that's the honest truth, right?
Yes.
All those who come in at 49 find other side letter routes, if I may use that, to actually have 51.
I
Not everybody does, but I mean,
many of them. I don't want to generalize.
Yeah.
Many of them, right?
But I want to make an important point on multi-brand retail. A lot of talk has happened and why people are not coming. Multi-brand retail, I tell you, the single most important factor why the foreigners will not come in after the Press Note 6 came out, or the Press Note came out last year, is the fact that it's a concurrently subject, and all the states which are owned by opposition parties have said no. And it is impossible to develop a business model where you have some states you can do the business, some states you can only have a wholesale cash and carry part, but you can't have a front-end retailing. So the
actually, the
practical
clarifications have made that even worse now, because they said you can't have wholesale, cash and carry in the same company as retail. So you've got to break up all those elements and have different
trading being in the concurrent list. Today, can I tell you something, that even government of India is so worried at that time when the constitution was framed, foreign direct investment doesn't even feature in the list 1, list 2 or list 3 of the constitution. There is no entry, so it comes under residual category, entry number 97. So tomorrow if state wants to legislate on foreign direct investment as far as retail trading is concerned, I won't be surprised. They can say I'm very.
And in the case of multi-brand, the central government has kept those concerns in mind.
Right? Absolutely, and in fact tomorrow a state can say I want a multi-brand retail, I want only 10% foreign shareholding. They as well can do it, because there is no specific entry in either of the list. Because perhaps they are worried about economic imperialism at that time. The East India Company will come back.
What we really need is clarity.
Yes.
Just on this Indian owned and controlled. When we debate control and when we debate 49, I think all we need is clarity. Can you really have an Indian owned and controlled company doing any investments, even in prohibited sectors? Say yes or say no.
So I've listed out what I thought were some of the big ticket concerns or challenges facing our ability to attract more foreign investment. Would you like to add to the list?
I think the conditionalist is attached to each of the FDI cap. I think those concerned administrative ministry needs to relook at it. I tell you, classic case. Last year they came out with this press note releasing all the caps in the media and broadcasting sector. Cable companies, DTH companies can go from 20 to straight 74%. But the cross media ownership cap was not changed. So not a single transaction has happened.
So it's not just about everybody within government speaking the same language. It's also getting all the other sort of regulators connected to this speaking the same language, right? Classic instances, RBI notifying 4 years after the press notes were out, now notifying, press note 2, 3 and 4 through FEMA notifications. So you've got to wonder why it would take anybody 4 years, and in those 4 years, what damage that may have done to certain kinds of transactions.
I don't think it's that hard for somebody to tie up all these agencies together and just simplify the whole thing. This whole foreign investment framework, which includes all these laws, has become grotesque.
There is very little, let's say, discussion that goes on before you suddenly see changes in a press note. That's one aspect. And again, with everything else
opaque.
in FDI policy, it's very opaque. You don't know why deals are being blocked. There's so much discretion, and there's no way to appeal.
Technically, you can challenge it in a writ jurisdiction in the High Court, but courts generally don't interfere in economic policy matters.
So I wish there was a forum by which these regulators call for parties interested and say, look, this is a sectoral issue we are facing. How do we address it?
So, final question to you, Mr. Shroff. If your deal is stuck because the ministries involved have raised objections, no specific deal. Ministries involved have raised objections that you don't think are valid or are not in keeping with their stated policy. Where do you go? What do you do?
I'll just answer a question with another question. Is what I would do as the government if I were to really invite foreign investment in large amounts and we should really make an impact to the country. And I'd answer that same question by saying simplify, simplify, simplify. That's all that you need to do.